I will explaining the backend part of my project using Spring Boot. First, we will understand what is Spring Boot, why we use it, is key features, advantage, and then I will walk you throughout how I use in my project using layers like controller, service, repository, and many more. Then let's start it. First of all, what is the Spring Boot overview? So, Spring Boot is a powerful framework built on a top of a Spring that's significantly reduce the complexity of Java. It offer many features and annotation that simplify the setup, configuration, and deployment of the application. So, guys, in simple word, Spring Boot is a Java-based framework that help us to create standalone production-ready application quickly. Okay, it comes with a built-in features like dependency injection, REST API, databases, integration, which make development easier and faster. Okay, okay. Then next part will be the what in definition of Spring Boot. So in Spring Boot, it is a framework extension. I mean, Spring Boot is a framework extension of the Spring ecosystem. Okay, Spring Boot it will remove the much of the boilerplate code and configuration required in a Spring application. Okay, in Spring application we require too much code for manually we have to write. So it will Spring Boot will reduce the boilerplate code reduction. Okay. Second is the standard alone support. Okay, Spring Boot it will support a standalone application without the need to deploy WAR file separately. Okay. After that, the main goal. Okay, the Spring Boot, the main goal of a Spring Boot is to allow developer to create production-ready Spring-based application quickly and efficiently. It will eliminate the manually configure of XML or extensive Java configuration classes. Okay, then. So why Spring Boot came? Spring Boot came to create a production-ready application very fast and very quickly. So it will reduce our time and more make our time more on development. Okay. After that, it will also Spring Boot also come with an embedded server container like Tomcat, Jetty, and Undertow. Okay, this all are the server that internally part of a Spring Boot. Okay, you don't have to integrate it to the external. Okay, you can run your application as simple as Java application example MV and Spring Boot run. Using this command, you can run your Java application. Okay, no need for external application server. Okay, what are the key features of Spring? So the key features of Spring, first of all, we have auto configuration. Okay, what are the auto configuration? So auto configuration automatically configure क्या करेगा bean based on the dependencies found in the class path. Okay. For example, we don't have to no need to manually define a data source bean when using a database starter. It will automatically will be found. Okay. The second is the starter POMS. Okay. Simplify क्या करता है the Maven Gradle dependency management. Example, Spring Boot starter web. Include all the dependencies for web application. Okay. So Spring Boot starter web, it will be a collection of all the dependencies. Okay. It will it will help us to develop a web application very smoothly and fastly. Okay. Uh, uh, there is another example called Spring Boot Starter Data JPA. It will be used for handling the database interaction. Okay. And third is the embedded server application. Spring Boot application come with the bundle with embedded servers like running a web app with embedded Tomcat remove the needed for external server container. Okay. It will also provide the embedded server, so we don't have to need it for external server container. Okay. Opinionated defaults. Okay. It is also provide a sensible default configuration like default port in 808 configurable via properties. Okay. After that, annotation in Spring Boot. Okay. So we have a multiple annotation in Spring Boot. I will explain you few important annotation. Okay. So first of all, we have a at the rate Spring Boot application. It will be the most important annotation in Spring Boot. What this annotation do we will explain. So first of all, at the rate Spring Boot application, it is a combination of at the rate configuration, at the rate enable configuration, and at the rate component state. We will learn how this all this annotation is work. Okay, in our project. So what this added Spring Boot application do? So it will simplify it will simplify the bootstrapping the app with a single annotation. Okay. Example, Spring added Spring Boot application. It will be right on the top of the public class application. The main class of our Java. It will be written in top of the class. Okay. And added address controller. Okay. What will be the added address controller do? So head rest controller is a combine of head controller and rest response body. Okay, what head rest controller task do? So it will use to create a REST API. It will help us to create a REST API. Okay, it will be example of this. You will see in the CPT. After that, we have a enable auto configuration. It will enable क्या करता है Spring Boot auto configure mechanism. It will automatically configure the bean based on the dependencies you will edit in the your common XML file. Okay. After that, we have a different it all are the features. There is a multiple feature, but I will only explain few features. Okay. So what is the difference between Spring and Spring Boot? Okay. When we have a Spring, then why we have to use the Spring Boot? So because of a feature Spring Boot provide that we have to use a Spring Boot in compared to Spring. First will be the configuration. Okay. In Spring, we have to require manual XML and Java configuration. It will take too much time for manually writing this code. Well, in a response to Spring Boot, provide auto configuration. It will reduce the our manual work task. Okay, it will save our time. After that, we have a project structure. It will in Spring the project structure will be a complex with multiple configuration files. But in Spring Boot it will be a simple and minimal setup. Okay, so we don't have to understand too much about the project structure. After the dependencies management in Spring we have to manually manage individual dependencies. But in Spring Boot we have a starter POMX simplified it. For example, if we have to develop a web application, we have a Spring Boot starter web application. Okay, for database selection, we have Spring Boot started data JPA. Okay. After the deployment. So for deployment, require WAR package and external servers in a Spring. But in the Spring Boot, we have run as a standard on jar with embedded server. Okay. After that, we have advantage of using Spring Boot. What are the advantage of Spring Boot in compared to Spring? So first of all, advantage of using Spring Boot will be the rapid development. Okay, rapid development. Second is the business logic coding. Start the coding with business logic quickly without the boilerplate and microservices compatibility. Build a microservice, designing to build the microservice easily. Okay, production ready features, built-in monitoring tool. It will monitor our application, community and ecosystem, community support, used ecosystem and community support. It will be the advantage of the Spring Boot. Okay, and testing support. It will also provide testing support after when to use Spring Boot. Okay, so whenever we have a new project, prefer for the greenfield project needing a rapid development and a microservice architecture. Whenever the new project comes, which will require a rapid development and a microservice architecture, we will use Spring Boot. Okay. Second is the prototyping. Prototyping, it will be a quickly build MVP and test concept without complex setup. Okay. Third is the transition from legacy. For example, we have an old Spring MVC application. We have to convert into the Spring Boot using migrating to Spring Boot. Okay, cloud native application well suited for a containerized apps running in a Kubernetes or a cloud platform. Okay, then we have to use a Spring Boot application. Okay, after that, the conclusion of a Spring Boot. Okay. So, Spring Boot provide a benefit. For example, streamline the development, reduce the complexity and time to market. Okay, enhance the maintainability, clear project structure, and the opinion default make or more ongoing maintenance easier. It will make our enhancement and maintenance easier. Increase the productivity, auto configuration and starter dependencies, minimize the repetitive tasks. Okay, and strong community, easy to find support and resources, and flexibility, allow the customization where needed despite the default. Okay, so guys, this all our theory part of our Spring Boot. Next, we will understand how this theory parts work. Okay, so I will open my project and step by step I will explain about my project, how I use the okay. The project I use the project I use based on a based on a Spring Boot. In my project, I use a Spring Boot to develop a layer architecture consist of a controller, service, repository, DTO, and utility classes. It allow me to handle all the business logic, data access, and API communication with proper separation of concerns. The front end will using the React communication with Spring Boot API throughout the HTTP request. Okay, so I will explain you later. Okay, guys. So, guys, it is a project. It is a project called Enterprise Expense Management. It is a web application that built using the Spring Boot that help organization to manage and track the employee expense efficiently. It allows user to submit the expense and admin to approve or reject them. Okay. Architecture. Okay. The architecture I use is I follow the MVC model wave controller pattern and layer architecture with Spring Boot. It helps in clean code separation, better maintainability, and scalability. That's why I use a MVC architecture. Okay. So, okay, guys, I will explain each and every part very easily. So, first, first, we will explain what is all the folder structure of my application. Okay. First, it will be the enterprise expense management. It will be the backend part. Inside the source, we have a main class, main class. Inside, we have a Java. Inside Java, we have all our code. Config package, controller package, DTO package, model package, repository, service, util, and application dot properties. Where is in resource we have application dot properties, as well as we have a pom.xml. All are the dependencies will be added inside the pom.xml. Okay. So guys, it will be the our backend part, enterprise expense management, and the front end part will be the expense management. Inside this we have a source. Inside it we have a add expense components. All are the components part. Okay, for a front end part, and inside the page we have a login page, sign up page, app.js page. We will explain each and every part one by one. Okay. So first we will go to the our backend part, and our backend part will wait a minute, there is some error. Okay, it's okay, it will be older version, you don't have to worry about this. The version will spring automatically will. Okay. Okay. We will came to our backend folder. Inside it, we have a source. Inside the source, we have a main. Inside the main, we have a Java. Inside the Java, we have all our code. So we can, I will explain you each package, and inside the package, we have our Java code. We will explain step by step. So first, we will explain what is a controller. Okay. So first of all, understand what is a controller and why we need a controller. So first of all, controller will be handle the incoming request. Okay. The controller will be accept the HTTP request from the front end like React and delegate the processing to the service layer and return the response usually in a JSON format. Okay. So why we use constructor? Okay. Why we use a controller? So controller will be act as an entry point for the backend, and it will keep routing. For example, inside our controller, we have a expense controller. Okay. Inside the expense controller, we have a REST controller, we have a request mapping, post mapping. It will be it all are the annotation. Okay. So first of all, it will act as a entry point for the backend part. Okay. So what is the code of expense controller? So it is the expense controller. It is a backend part of the expense where user added a expense successfully. Okay. It will be the expense part. It will be the when user want to create any expense, he will have to write. He will see first one first there will be a form. Inside the form, we have to put what will be the amount of expense and its category and date and description. So it will the post mapping will be and handle क्या करेगा expense added successfully part. Okay. After that we have a get all expense. It will be the give all expense form. The expense the user added, it will give all expenses. It will give total expenses. It will give category wise expenses. It will set the budget. It will set budget. Okay. This code will be get budget by category. We will get the expense based on a category. It will delete mapping. It will delete the expense based on the expense ID. It will get mapping. It will give our expense by based on the month, year. The user created the expense. Get mapping. It will map the expense based on the yearly basis. It will map the expense based on a category wise. Okay. After that, we have a user controller. Okay. User controller is mainly responsible for the login and sign up. Okay. So inside that we have to show some routing. We have to show some entry point. Okay. Based on that, the user can access API or it will be the entry point. So based on that, user can access. So it will be the our login. The login logic will be right inside the controller. So Based on the username and password, user can log in successful. If user conditional is not matched, we will got invalid conditional. Okay, so if user uses the sign up, so if user uses the same email again and again, then we got the email already register message. After that, we have a user in this logic. User will be created. User will have to when user have to create first, it will go for a sign up page. So it will be sign up. Inside the sign up, we have to write full name, email, and password. Then after sign up, user got a user registration successful message. That's why we use a controller. Okay, this all are the controller part. After that, we will go to the service layer. Okay, what is the service layer? So first of all, understand what is the service layer. So the service layer, it will contain the business logic. The purpose of a service layer will be the purpose of a service layer will be to handle the call. Okay, wait a minute. Okay. So the next part is will be the service. Okay. So what is the service package? So service package will be handled या contain the business logic. Okay. So what is the purpose of service? So the service will be handle the core processing like validation, calculation, business rule, and interact with the repository layers. Okay. Then why we use service? So the service layer will be separate the logic from the controller and database action, making the testing and maintenance easier. Okay. So for we will understand what is the user service. Okay, okay. The user service will be used for update the user, get full name and update. Okay, it will be service. What is provided? We have a audit service. Okay, action, edit name, audit services. Okay, so the service handle क्या करता है the core processing, validation and calculation and interact with the repository. And it will separate करता है logic from the controller and database access. That's why we have to write a user service and audit service. Okay. After that, we will go to our next part. Our next part will be the repository. Okay, the main why we use a repository. So repository is a database access layer. Repository is responsible for database access layer. What is the purpose of repository? So it will interact directly with the database using Spring Data JPA. Okay, so it will interact with the database using Spring Data JPA. Okay, we have write the interface called user repository. It will extend the JPA repository using user and log as a okay and find by it will find using the email. Okay, so why we use a repository? So repository reduce the boilerplate code. You just you extend the JPA repository and abstract the SQL and let you focus on the business logic. Okay, okay, it will be the very small code. It will handle the database. It will handle the uh, mm, it will handle the database directly. It will interact with the database directly using Spring Data JP. Okay, so the work of a repository is okay. This, and after that we will go to the DTO. Okay, what is a DTO? So DTO stands for data transfer object. Wait a minute. Okay. So DTO, it stands for data transfer object. What is the purpose of DTO? So DTO, it will transfer the data between front end and back end between the layers and prevent the exposing full entity object like security plus flexibility. So why we use? So DTO keep your entity model safe from the being directly exposed, allow custom response from hiding the internal field. Okay. So it will be a email and password. When user have to log in, they will have to first provide email and password. After that, they will be login and this will be the sign up page. This user cannot be login without sign up, so user have to sign up. So this will be the login and sign up code. Okay. Okay. After that, the DTO is finished. After that, we will see a config folder. Okay. We will see repository. We will see model. We will see model. No, we don't see model. Okay. We will see model also. Wait a minute. Uh, why we use model? Okay. Wait a minute. Okay. So we see controller, we see DTO, we see repository, we see services, but we don't see model. So why we use model? So the model in simple word model represent the model will represent the application data. Okay. For example, I created the entities like user expenses. This will be the expense entities and these classes are annotated with address entity. Okay, and they map to the database table using JPA notation. Okay, it will create the user entity. Okay, okay. uh, the model purpose will the model okay the model represent क्या करता है the application data for example express what will be the field of express so we have express id amount category description date and approval status many things okay this all are the application data okay for example, I created the expense I created the expense entity. Inside this we have a multiple data. Okay, that's why we use the model. It will nothing but do represent the application data. Okay, after that we have a config. Okay, why we use config? It will be a very important. Okay, so just understand. Um, okay. Config classes. Why we use created the config package? Okay. So config it will hold a custom configuration for beans and security CORS severity. For example, it will hold a security. It will not. It will only allow sign up and login after the user can go to the dashboard. All this part will be done by the security config. Okay. And it will centralize the controller of application behavior. For example, cross config allow front end to connect to the back end. Okay, this all are will be done by the config folder. It will allow user to only go to the dashboard after login and user. Okay, after that we have a okay we have a util package. It will also a very important package. Why we use the util package? So as the common we use util because the common reusable helper method. Example data conversion, formatting, token generation. We use util. Okay, it will promote the code use and keep logic and clean and concise. Okay. 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 The after that we have application dot property. Application dot property is the main work of application dot property will be MySQL connection. Okay. It will connect our database to our Java class. It is our database MySQL connection. JDBC slash MySQL local 3 key and expense type will be a database name table inside the MySQL. We have a table called expense tab. Okay. And our username and password of application and it will be JPA plus Hibernate. Okay. Logic. Okay. After that, our front end part will be done. After that, I will explain your back end part. Okay. Okay. So wait. 1 minute. Okay. What is the front end? So front end, I use the React.js to okay. I front end I use the React.js to create a responsive and user friendly interface. User can log in, add expense, and view their expenses history. React communicate with the Spring Boot throughout the REST API. So React folder inside the React folder we have a component. We have each and every different add expense component, dashboard component, expense manager component, expense graph component. Okay, it all are the component. Okay. Okay. Important component क्या expense form component. Okay, what is the expense form component? Okay, as used to add a new expense, take user input and send a post request to a backend. Okay, after that we have a login and sign up login and sign up to GSS. What will we do? It will log the our login page and sign up. Based on that, we will log and log out, log in and sign up. Okay, I will tell you how application work. Okay, okay, okay. We will learn for our backend part. MVN, Spring Boot. Yeah. It is a command we will learn in the our theory part. Okay. After that, we have also have to run our front end part also. npm npm start. It is the command to run the our React part. Okay. Our term will started port 80. It is the our backend part. It will started on 8080, and it is our React. We will start server. Okay. It will the welcome page. There is a some font error. We will solve. Okay. I will only show you how it is okay. We got the signing, but we don't have account. So we have to create an account. So we go to the sign up page, create the account. Okay. We will write Khan full name, email with the right k123@gmail.com. Password we will put okay. Our account is created. I show. Okay. Sign up success object is created. Okay. Okay. After that, we have to go to the signing. All our data will be stored in the database. We will see how. Okay. We will, okay. After the login, our enterprise expense manager dashboard will be created. So inside we will create one expense. Okay. Amount will be our put any amount. Category will be a food. Date will be one for me. Okay. And add. Okay. Expense will be add. We will see there is a we don't see a chart because it will be a small amount. That's why the chart will not show. I will show expense summary. Inside the expense summary, we will see our today expense. Okay, category, food, amount, this, and description for me, and date will be a 16125. Okay, and there is the approval expense. Okay, approval expense will be show that this will be a today approval section. Okay, so that's the our project of a Spring Boot using Spring Boot. This will be the project that I created. Thanks. Thank you.